Friends, I know that this video may be a little bit related to anime, but it's still tying in some shoujo manga that I really love, and I am just over the moon excited for this video today. Hello friends, happy Friday, so very excited that you're here. I shared recently in a previous manga news video, I think it was like 2-3 weeks ago, that I'm one of the co-collaborators, co-organizers of the Finding God anime devotional. I am so excited that we have volume 3 coming out this upcoming Monday. It is actually already up for pre-order on Amazon, but if you prefer to shop somewhere else, don't worry. My friend and I are working through some things to get it available on other book retailer websites like Barnes & Noble's, as well as a few other digital places in case if you prefer or like to shop for digital ebooks. I wanted to do something to celebrate the upcoming release, especially to my friend and I, Mariah Jane, who's the other co-organizer, co-collaborator. We were recently on the Anilujah Podcast, and we were talking about our experience as being Christians in a anime community where there has been, not just in the past, but I would say now, to a lot of pushback against Christians who like and say that they watch anime, that a lot of people feel that you can't love anime and you can't love Jesus, that they can't be in the same sentence. And that podcast was all about how we got into anime, our experiences of being in the church, and how people have reacted to us sharing that we love anime and manga, as well as I think it's gonna be 2 separate episodes. We also had a game show kind of thing. Your girl didn't do the best, but I was proud of the answers that I did get correct. So if you're curious and want to listen to the podcast, I'll leave a link down below. Me and my friend had a truly great time, and I hope that those who listen to it will be encouraged and just know that they are not alone. So the theme of today's video, like I said, it's going to be about anime characters, and I wanted to do something related to shoujo because yes, there are some pieces in this devotional, the upcoming one, that volume 3, that are centered around shoujo animes. Mine is one of them. I did it on Awakens Ride, and I was really excited. I actually submitted 2 pieces. I wanted to submit my haiku piece, but I didn't get ready in time, and then my One Piece piece that I did, unfortunately, I didn't have some of the quotes, the citations that I had needed, and I could never find where I got those from which episodes, despite that I looked at like 50 episodes. So I decided hey, let's just, I don't want to say scrap it, but I decided that, hey, since I don't have the proper citation and I don't want to make the changes that our editor suggested, I decided to put it on the side and I'll just come back to it another time. So the only piece I have is Awakens Ride, and I was brainstorming with my friend. I was like, hey, I want to do something on my channel to celebrate, and so as I was brainstorming, I thought it'd be really cool to do a video centering around what would these shoujo anime characters, what Bible verse would they quote to encourage them. I'm going to be covering, if I counted right, but let's double check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's at least 7 different shoujo anime pieces in the devotional, and they're actually it may be from the same anime, but there are 2 different people who wrote on it, and so I'm going to just cover 7 of them that spoke to me the most, and that I was yes, as I was brainstorming, yes, I thought of this Bible verse and that Bible verse. I'm going to be using the New International Version just as an FYI, and I truly hope that you enjoy this video. I know that's early to say, and I typically say that at the end, but I'm so stoked. But I've never done anything like this before, so I'm I really don't know how the progression of things are going to go, but I will say I don't plan to go in depth about what each of these anime are about, because at least with 2 of them, I have not read them or seen them, so I don't have any kind of familiarness with them to be able to talk about them well, I feel like. Though one of them definitely is one I want to try. So let's go ahead, jump right in. These are going to be in no certain order. For number 1, the first person that I felt sort of was the easiest, and part of that is because of the story, but also because of how I personally related to this female lead, and that is Tohru from Fruits Basket. I felt there were so many Bible verses that came to mind because she is just one of those female heroines that I feel you just want to be like. For me, I really identified with her. I did talk about this in my video review that I did several years ago, and how emotionally wrecking this series was for me. I saw so many aspects, so many parts of my life in Tohru, the way that I think, the way that I do things, some of the motivations for those reasons that I do. And so I just thought, though, when I think of Tohru, I think of her kindness. I think of how she is so kind to the Soma family, of how she is just going out of her way, and when she's hurt, to forgive others, to show compassion and show love to the greatest length, where people are girl, you just probably need to get away away from them. And no, she didn't. She continued to be actively involved with this family in such a kind way. So the verse that I decided that I feel like it'd be a verse that she would quote is Ephesians 4:32, which says, "Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other just as in Christ God forgave you." I especially feel the verse saying be kind and compassionate to one another. Tohru lives out this verse, and I could just feel that this verse would be the backbone her entire life, of which she just lives by. Like I feel like she just lives that out in general, honestly, but that verse is the one that really came to the forefront of my mind, that I feel like if I were to think of Tohru, I would think what she would say, it would be this verse here. The next hero I'm going to talk about is Futaba from Aoharu Ride, the piece that I did, and I love Aoharu Ride. I have a review on this channel, but I feel like when I was thinking of Bible verses, that's something that I feel like Futaba would say a lot to herself, made me think of the beginning. I know it gets pretty messy later on, at least in the manga. I love the anime so much. In fact, it's the only shoujo anime I've watched from start to finish, with 7 Time Loop being the second one. I think I missed the last 2-3 episodes. I still need to come back to it. So I was really thinking of Bible verses that would encourage Futaba, because in the beginning, she gets called out by Kyo, and Kyo tells her oh, you've been living a little bit like a fake here, and it really hits her of how she has been living not true to herself, not true to her convictions, which made me think of Romans 12, which says, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will." Again, I really feel like this verse especially would apply to her life, something she would say to herself after she stands up to those certain group of girls and is like, I'm gonna do what I choose to do, not because I think I may look cool, not because I'm trying to fit in with anybody, or some other reason that was not, again, true to herself. I think too, this could even apply to the manga, and when, she's dating a certain character, and how I feel like she's really trying to stay grounded, that she doesn't want to conform to the world, so to speak, and doesn't want to change who she is for the sake of somebody else. Does that mean she doesn't give in sometimes? Yes, she's a human being just like the rest of us, but I really feel like this verse, whenever she feels herself drifting, whenever she feels herself changing in a way that she does not want to, I feel like this would be such a comforting and encouraging Bible verse for her. This next anime is definitely one that I think I would enjoy the anime, but I really want to read the manga. In fact, I read one of my friends, her thesis this past year, and I was blown away of how she described how Natsume Book of Friends has deeply touched her life and impacted her. So I don't have a lot to say on this one, but I definitely thought, and what I've read from her thesis, what I've heard from other people say, that Natsume is one who I feel like strives to be a hero, a character who aims to be a peacekeeper. From what I've heard, he is going out of his way with this Book of Friends, this book, to go help these yokai get the names that were taken from them and given back to them. That speaks so much of his character, that he wants not just peace for himself and having what seems maybe a burden upon him, or if he's even doing the right thing, but when he goes of giving back their names, but he wants these yokai to be at peace, to be able to finally rest, which made me think of another verse in Romans 14:19, which says, "Let us therefore make every effort to do what leads to peace and to mutual edification." And if you're like me, you're like, what does edification mean? Because yes, your girl had to go look that up. It means to build up or to lift up. And I feel like he is living out this verse from everything I've seen, that he's making every single effort. It seems like nothing that is in his path is he letting that deter him from having this goal and working towards it. I feel though that when you're going towards your goals and there are challenges and obstacles in your way, you need that reminder. Natsume's gonna need that reminder that to make, again, as it says, every effort to do what leads to peace and to build up. And he really feels like he's doing that. Everything that I thought of first was he strives for peace and he lives that out in the biggest of ways from everything I've heard. The next one is a personal favorite of mine, and that is Kimi be Todoke. I love this manga so much. I have a review as well on this channel. It's one of the first manga that, well, my first shoujo say manga where I knew this was shoujo and it got me hooked on shoujo manga and it's where I am today. I've definitely talked about that in a few different videos, and I feel like with Sawako that she's such a precious little being, but she gets very, I don't know if anxious is the right word, but we know that she gets very worried. She wants her words to be able to reach other people, to touch them, and what she's thinking, the sincerity behind those words, for it to have the same strength in her mind on them. Like, so if she's wanting Shizu to get something that she's saying, she's hoping with everything and worrying about, did they understand what I mean? Did the words come across in a proper way? And I can so resonate with that, and it made me think of Philippians 4:6-7, which is one of my favorite verses that I remember being in college, that like I was rapidly memorizing this over and over because I guess I sort of feel like I've always been a worrywart, though for different reasons. But these verses say, do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation by prayer and petition with thanksgiving present your requests to God, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. I feel like she is going to need the strength that these words bring, and not to panic or worry if she said the right thing. Did she do the right thing? Was she helping out enough? And that just being to release those worries to God and know it's going to be okay, that people see the effort she is making, and that if she's not conveying fully the way she wants, people will meet her halfway. And God is a big God, and He is going to help her every single step of the way. I feel like that would just be so encouraging for her. I could see her saying this verse every single day to give herself a strength, because it is hard sometimes out there, especially even I feel that as sometimes as a YouTuber and sometimes doing reviews of like, there's a lot of thoughts in my head and there's certain things I want to convey, and it's like, did I convey this well? So I totally believe for Sawako, that would be such a comfort verse for her that she would say all the time. I was really excited for this next one that somebody actually submitted pieces about library wars. Now, I have talked about how I unfortunately don't have this series anymore, but this was ultimately my first manga that I read as an adult that was sort of like my gateway, the seed planter for me to really get hooked and interested into manga. And I was thinking of Iku, the female heroine of Library Wars. I think about the battle, the fight that she's in against the government concerning censorship of books. As the series goes on, I'm not sure about the anime, but definitely for the manga, it gets more and more tense. There are more hurdles that they have to overcome, that the library forces have to overcome to keep these books in libraries, to keep these books alive, so to speak, so that these members, library members, can go check out these books. She's gonna need something to remind her that in this constant fight, in this battle, when things can be really tough and she's running on fumes at this point, she is gonna need something to remind her like, hey, you're gonna get through this. God is with you and He's helping you with this censorship battle. So I feel Isaiah 40:31 would be such an encouraging verse to her, which says, but those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. She would need the comfort of these words, especially when I think of the later part of this series and how hard it was. And there's things going on with Dojo, and there was a lot of things going on with a lot of different people, and how it could just be so discouraging of like, man, I just want to stop. But her running to the hope and running to the Lord and remembering He is her strength, and that she can do this, that she's going to soar on wings like eagles, and that she can keep fighting this good fight, this good battle. I felt there was a few other verses in Isaiah that I think would also be really comforting to her, just remembering not to lose hope, not to lose strength, and to keep on going, to keep fighting that battle. For this next one, it was a little bit challenging, and that is My Happy Marriage. I was thinking of Miyo, and I couldn't think of an exact verse right away. Honestly, I felt like due to her situation and how Kyoka has really helped her in her life, I thought of the Book of Ruth. I feel like the Book of Ruth would be deeply encouraging to her because she's coming out of an abusive family situation where she has been isolated, looked down, treated so unfairly, only to be given this second chance by this man who is very prestigious and well-mannered and has a lot of good reputation within the community. And for him to really help her have this new life, I think would speak to her in the same way with Ruth of, granted, a different scenario in many ways, but Ruth's husband had passed away and her father-in-law had passed away and her brother-in-law. And so the only person that she has left is her sister-in-law and her mother-in-law. And rather than going back to her home country the way that Naomi, her mother-in-law is encouraging her, Ruth begs Naomi to let me come with you. And so if I had to choose like one specific verse that I feel like would be really encouraging for Miyo and one that she could really relate to, that I feel like she would say to Kyoka, is Ruth 1:16. But Ruth replied, "Don't urge me to leave you or to turn back from you. Where you go, I will go, and where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God, my God." And while I feel like the male lead has never encouraged Miyo to ever leave at all, I just feel like the way that she has adopted so much of this new lifestyle and has found this second chance at life in a way that is full of joy and happiness and new things, where she really can thrive not just as his future wife, but just, or I guess as his wife, but just as a human being, just as an individual, that she is respected because she's a human being. I feel like she would just see so much of her life in the book of Ruth and how Ruth unfolded and how, again, she had that second chance, a beautiful second chance that was filled with so much life. And I love that for Miyo. I really love that. And I personally love the book of Ruth as well and find it very encouraging. So that's why I struggle to think of like one set verse from the book of Ruth. But again, I chose verse 1:16. I feel like just captures all that Miyo has went through, and one that I think would bring her a lot of encouragement on the days where she is struggling and not sure of herself, or, you know, having those crazy nightmares. I mean, I feel like she knows here that things are different and it's going to be better. For the last one, I'm pretty excited to say that somebody wrote a piece on the ascendance of a bookworm. Now, I used to have the manga, but unfortunately I gave it away a long time ago because unfortunately I think it was just not the right time. It's definitely one I'm like, I wish I didn't do that, but it is one that I would love to watch the anime of. My husband did. I don't know much about this except for before the young woman becomes who she is in the series, we know of a sense of a bookworm, that in her past life she loved books since she was a little girl, got into an accident. Now she's been reincarnated in this new world, but there's no books. There's none at all, and she's absolutely heartbroken and devastated. I feel like she has such a love for learning. I honestly think the book of Proverbs would be one of her favorite books, and I could see her like quoting plenty of different proverbs. It was hard to pinpoint one, but I think Proverbs 15:14 would be one that I could see her saying to other people and also for herself in her quest for knowledge and her quest for sharing the love of books. So Proverbs 15:14 says, "The discerning heart seeks knowledge, but the mouth of a fool feeds on folly." She definitely seems to have this discerning heart that is constantly seeking knowledge and encouraging that in other people. So I feel like if she's seeing people who are not, she may think the verse in her head or say it to other people and really help other people as well. So that is definitely one I need to actively watch so that I can see how true that is, because maybe there's a different proverb that would fit so much better for her life and one that she would say to encourage herself or just to herself or other people. And hopefully, friend, that you felt like that these verses fit these characters. Definitely let me know what you think, and I really hope that you look forward to the release of Fangirling Anime Volume 3. It is such an encouraging read. I think whether that you are a person that says that they are a Christian or not, that there's just so much coolness to see of how people find God in their favorite mediums, just like anime. And some of those too, even for manga, since there is that crossover, though all the pieces center around anime, so you don't have to worry about anything that like manga spoilers, so to speak, because unfortunately not every anime gets 2 seasons, which we know a lot of, which Shoujo say. But yeah, I truly hope that you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for listening, and yeah, let me know if you felt there maybe was a different Bible verse fit one of these characters, or maybe there's a different character you're like, man, this Bible verse would be something I could totally see them quoting. Let me know down below, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. Bye!